Okay, let's get something out of the way super quick. I don't know how many of you have seen the SAG Award reaction live stream that I did, and if you're a longtime follower of me, you probably know that I don't respond to, like, hate comments. I'm also sick, by the way, so bear with me. I'm not one to really care. I kind of brush them off, and even, like, the hate comments that I got on the live stream being like, this video is impossible to sit through with these bratty college kids, like, that's fucking true, and you know, those are hilarious, so whatever. I guess the difference between that and other comments I was seeing, like the ones that I'm addressing right now, I think come from a lot of people who just skipped at the timestamps and didn't watch the entire video, which is expected. I don't expect people to sit there and watch a 3-hour reaction to the stream. But a lot of people wondering about our disappointment to Joaquin Phoenix's win, and thinking that we're saying he's undeserving of the award, which is not necessarily, at the very least I won't speak for my friends, but that's not what I'm saying. My disappointment arises from somewhere else. I hate when we come into an award season and it's just perfectly clear-cut. It may be because all of these performances and films are super well deserving, but I don't think it's that much to ask for me, at the very least, to just want some crazy shit at the precursors. I feel like we should all want that, because it makes this so much more fun, and it makes making predictions so much more difficult. I wasn't sitting there going, Adam Driver's about to win. I was sitting there going, could you imagine if he wins right now, and everything turns around, and all of a sudden we all look down at our papers and go, fuck, now what? Like, I don't know, something about it would be so cool. We're not disappointed at Joaquin Phoenix winning. We're let down by the fact that it's just kind of going to be a boring Oscars, which happens. You know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago when The Shape of Water won Best Picture, and you had Guillermo locked in for director, and you had Gary Oldman, and you had Frances McDormand, and you had Sam Rockwell, and you had Allison Janney, and you had Call Me By Your Name and Screenplay. Like, it was just everybody knew what was going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, this video is not going to be very shocking. You could go to Gold Derby and probably see a lot of what I'm going to predict right now. I'm going to try and give some insight into my thought process, but just to be as blatantly straightforward as I can be, I'm not predicting a whole lot of crazy shit to happen, because chances are not much is going to happen crazy shit-wise. On a lighter note, Tom Holland fell off the wall, unfortunately. He was up there, I had packing taped him up, and it woke me up at about 2:30 in the morning and scared the fucking hell out of me. But, he's still here, and he lives on. So, that's cool. I guess on that note, I usually don't structure this video like this, but I'm going to start with the performance categories, merely because I think this will take me 90 seconds, and I'm really not going to go in depth with it, because there's not much to say. It's Phoenix, Zellweger, Pitt, and Dern. Those are your winners, and if you're in an Oscar pool and you're putting money down, I would highly advise you go with the 4 of them. I really don't see any crazy upsets happening here. Once upon a time, I probably would have said Laura Dern could have been upset by J-Lo, and I have this weird feeling that that's not going to happen, so, you know, Dern's got it locked down. I don't see anyone sneaking up on Brad Pitt. It's looking really, really good for him, and he's not stupid. You can tell when he gives these speeches that he's prepped them, because he's not a moron and he knows he's going to win, which I appreciate. He's not getting up there and acting like a moron and going, I had no idea I was going to win this, oh my god. He's got something prepared, it's funny, and it's nice to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing his Oscar speech. Zellweger is good to go. You know, she's got the kind of career Oscar behind her, as well as the 6-year gap of disappearing and then coming back with the physical transformation and all that stuff. Playing a biopic character. I mean, she is the Oscar setup. She is the gold that they want to hand out. Honestly, if there's any category I guess I could see an upset in, it might be that one. Some Glenn Close thing could happen like it did last year. I do think Olivia Colman was a lot more of a threat going into the Oscars than any of the other women in this category are to Zellweger. But I wouldn't be totally astounded. I think maybe Johansson having a double nomination this year could kind of get her maybe somewhere, but I don't think so. And no one's tackling Phoenix, as much as I thought early in the season that they wouldn't give it to him merely because of how historic and important Heath Ledger's win was. I kind of had this preconceived notion that they weren't going to be willing to give another Oscar for the character of Joker, not just for Joaquin, but just like ever. And I concede that I've been proven wrong, and I'm not going to predict anything crazy because I've been proven incorrect. He is going to be an Oscar winner, which is great because he's Joaquin Phoenix, and he's one of the best actors working right now, and I think it's awesome he's going to pick up an Oscar, though I might not be the hugest fan of Joker. But that's it, man. Those are your four. I'm not going to waste your time, so we can move on to other slightly more interesting categories for this year. I think these have been sitting here for like 2 days. Those are stale as fuck. So let's do the screenplay categories. Part of me wanted to wait for the Writers Guild Award wins to come out before I did this. But I genuinely don't think it's necessary. First off, the Writers Guild winners last year were super unusual and really just kind of out of left field. Part of that comes from their areas of eligibility and who can be nominated. This year, the biggest thing being Tarantino isn't nominated. But I don't think the WGAs are really going to tell us anything new. I think if they're going to tell us anything, they're going to tell us who could really creep up against Tarantino for original screenplay, and I guess I'll say outright he is my pick for original screenplay. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood definitely has enough momentum behind it just as a film going in with voters to pick up this award. Plus, Tarantino's really good at winning screenplay and then not winning picture. He did it with Pulp and he did it with Django, and I think he'll probably do it again. I guess that gives a little hint into what I'm not predicting for Best Picture. But I think he'll pick up screenplay here, and if anything is to creep up on him, maybe Parasite. I think that'd be a really, really interesting upset, and if I see that happen, then I have firm belief that Parasite could win Best Picture. We'll see what winds up happening, but for the time being, I'm going to throw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Best Original Screenplay. Despite the fact that it's not in the WGAs, because Tarantino is not a guild member, I still think that that script has enough behind it. That movie has plenty behind it. I think you'll see in some technical categories. I think you're definitely going to see Brad Pitt pick up supporting actor. It's clear they like the movie enough, and I think the script is something that Tarantino, more often than not, backs himself on, even over his direction. Adapted screenplay. You know, months ago I would have told you it was Aliens to lose, and today that's not my prediction. I have a similar thought process to adapted screenplay this year that I did last year. Last year I sat and I said, I see no possible circumstance in which Spike Lee walks out of the Academy Awards without a trophy. This year, I see no possible circumstance in which Greta Gerwig walks out of the Academy Awards without a trophy. You know, as much as I hate to admit it, politics are a part of the Oscars, and they're always going to be. And this year in particular, they have been. With her snub in Best Director and the amount of talk that that's received, there have been a lot of talks about what female directors could have found themselves in Best Director, but like with Lulu Wang for The Farewell, you can talk about how A24 didn't campaign very well, and you know, with Little Women being everywhere, it does leave people's heads scratching, going, what the fuck? There's been so much talk about her, and she's recently become this powerhouse in screenplay. She picked it up at the Critics' Choice Awards. She'll probably pick up the WGA. All of a sudden, she's the frontrunner for sure, and in my head, I can't see a scenario in which she does not walk out of the Dolby Theater without an Oscar. She will be Oscar winner Greta Gerwig by the end of that night, and it can't be in director, and it's not going to be in picture, and it's going to be in screenplay. I think this is just it's going to be one they can hand Little Women. It's a big award. It's a great film, and honestly, if I had my way, I probably would have put Gerwig in director over Todd Phillips, and go get me down there. But I don't think it's going to happen. By that meaning Gerwig losing. I think she's going to pick up an Oscar, considering the strength of the screenplay at the very least, and yeah, no, I think Gerwig has this one locked down pretty well. Director is kind of another actor category where I think it's become pretty clear-cut. I think what's kind of cool about this one is how it's shifted a lot throughout the season. I think we all knew we were going to be looking at Scorsese, Tarantino, Bong Joon-ho, and Sam Mendes from very early on, and whoever got that fifth slot really never had a shot of winning. Whether it was Todd Phillips, whether it was Greta Gerwig, whether it was Noah Baumbach, whether it was Taika Waititi, whoever it was, they were getting a nomination, and then they get to sit there and they get to watch, and they were never going to win. Early in the season, it was the Scorsese versus Tarantino battle, where Scorsese was kind of over him, and then Parasite fucking just erupted onto the scene, and everyone was like, Bong Joon-ho could be like an Alfonso Cuarón, where he kind of comes in and sweeps it. And then the Globes happened, and I'm not one to bank really anything off of the Globes, but they've been pretty fucking spot on this season. I gotta give them credit. And all of a sudden, Sam Mendes has won everything. The Critics' Choice Award was a tie, but he's won everything. And the only reason I didn't shoot this video earlier was I was waiting for the DGAs, and the winners have come out for that, and Sam Mendes is officially your Directors Guild Award winner, and now he is your Oscar winner. The DGAs haven't gotten a choice wrong since 2012, which was Ben Affleck, which is a super fucking weird one to get wrong, considering he wound up not even being nominated, but then his film went on to win Best Picture. The DGAs are extremely good at predicting who will wind up taking Best Director, though they may not always be spot on with the nominations. They are very consistent with the winner of Best Director at the Oscars. And very frankly, Sam Mendes hasn't lost anything. And this will be a really cool one for him to pick up, actually. I think it's a very deserving Oscar. As much as I love Parasite, and Parasite remains my favorite movie of 2019, it's difficult to avoid the pairing between Deakins and Mendes, and both of them will be picking up Oscars for this movie. It's certainly not an undeserving one. And I know there are people who kind of don't appreciate 1917 story-wise and think it's a very basic, boots-on-the-ground kind of thriller. And, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, but there's little to be said about the direction of this film and the expert way that this film is crafted, and I think most people are willing to recognize that Sam Mendes is deserving of this one. And we arrive at Picture, which I guess out of these is probably the most interesting one, the one that makes me think a little bit, and still I could kind of see something happening at the Oscars. If I had to pick my top three for what I think could happen, I would go Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite and 1917 are the three that I would think would be in the top. That's not ranked, but I guess I'll clear this out of the way. I don't think Joker's going to happen. I think it getting the nomination was the recognition it was going to get. People will go, well, it's the most nominated movie at the Oscars, and I say to you, La La Land. You know, that doesn't always matter. Irishman's got 10 nominations, and there is a solid shot it could go away empty-handed. I don't think Joker's going to pick it up. I don't think the popularity is enough. I think too many voters are going to be putting that 5th, 6th, 7th on their list. And I don't think it's going to be enough considering the strength of these top three. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I have pushed away as a result of losing the Producers Guild Award, because I really thought that was Tarantino's to lose. I thought he had that shit in the bag. I thought that was the perfect film to win that award. I thought it had the setup it was looking for in every facet, and I'm not a huge fan of that movie by any respect. But I really thought that was going to be the one to pick up that award, and then it lost. And for me, that really kind of sank it back down in Picture. Parasite, I think, is a possibility. It would be difficult. The last time a movie won Picture without winning Director or Screenplay was 2002 with Chicago, which in and of itself was just such a weird fucking year. But the only reason I stand by it could win are two reasons. One, I think the preferential ballot works actually very heavily in Parasite's favor. I think the way that the preferential ballot is laid out and the kind of votes that I think Parasite is going to get, like a lot of those top three kind of being jumbled around in terms of putting Parasite on those top three, I think it could have a decent shot there. But I also think that it does have potential to upset Screenplay or Director. It would be hard. It would be really, really hard. But if something crazy is going to happen at the Oscars, it's going to be Bong Joon-ho popping up in one of those two categories, which would be really, really cool, and it would get genuine reactions out of people, and he would be thrilled, and it would be awesome. I can't in good will make him either of those two predictions, because I'm so much more confident in the other picks that I've chosen. If he picks up original screenplay when it comes to the Oscars, you know, whenever we're in the show, I will be kicking myself for picking 1917 for Picture. Or if he picks up Director, I'll be kicking myself for picking 1917 for Picture. But my pick for Picture is 1917. With now the PGA under its belt, the DGA under its belt, I think you're looking at a year in which the director picture pair is going to be prevalent. It's looking like a Shape of Water year. I think the PGA really gave it a spot at home, and I think the Globe win this year is kind of a big deal. I'm not 100% confident in this category like I am with the others. I just think that there are a few things that sort of bring those down, and those things that bring them down bring 1917 up. I don't think Parasite is an impossibility, and I'm looking forward to seeing if that could become a reality. But for now, I have to go with 1917. It's the obvious choice, but as of this moment, I think it's the right one. I think even picking up an original screenplay nomination really benefited it, considering the way the movie's crafted. But that is it. Those are my official winners' predictions for the 2020 Academy Award. Technical awards, I'm going to tweet my predictions out. I'm going to tweet my ballot out when I finalize those. I hope something crazy happens. I'm going to be doing a stream at the Oscars. There will be a VOD, and I hope I get an Olivia Colman reaction this year. I want something like that to happen. I long for something like that to happen every year. I'm not disappointed by the winners of these categories. Please understand that. I'm not upset. I'm not cynical about who is winning these categories. I merely didn't want to come into these predictions 100% sure. And I'm pretty fucking sure. That being said, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you disagree with me, or if you think any of those upsets are a possibility. Please shoot me a note in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, leave a like, subscribe. I appreciate it. And if you've been following me this entire award season, thank you for sticking around. We still got a couple things left. Going to do a BAFTA live reaction, and we're going to do an Oscars live reaction, and hopefully a couple of other fun things in there. We're looking at the Best Picture Marathon to be a video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.